Hey everybody, Max here, and today we'll be taking a look at the McFarlane Collector's Edition DC Multiverse Adam Strange figure. I'm a huge fan of Adam Strange, so this was a definite for me. I was fingers crossing that this would be a decent figure, and I really think it turned out fairly well. There's a couple of things that I'm going to have to ding it on, unfortunately. However, on the whole, it's a really good figure. Glad to have it add it to the collection and everything. I got the standard version from Best Buy. It was on sale along with Deadshot, and so I picked him up, and I'll be doing a review of that guy here pretty soon, so be on the lookout for that guy. I had ordered him from GameStop along with my Kingdom Come and Silver Age Superman, and ended up getting the Chase figure from GameStop. I've never once gotten a Chase figure from anywhere. so so anyway, I just thought I would show you what the package. Everything is the same. Everything that he comes with, this guy comes with. It's just got the McFarlane Platinum Edition sticker on it. But anyway, this guy's staying in the package. So I've never gotten a Chase before, so he's going to stay mint in the box forever because this is the one I really want, the standard edition. And because it's the red and yellow, it's just that those are his colors. I don't know if I've ever read a story where he had a black and gray suit. So if I knew that, maybe I'd take him out. But until then, he's staying in the box. So comes with the same accessories. This is how it's displayed. He's got four actually face plates. Now I've never had a figure with face plates before, and it's an interesting concept that they stumbled upon or created because they didn't want to create multiple head sculpts. They wanted to have different facial expressions, and I got to say that it works out fairly well. This is kind of his heroic, determined face. He comes with the kind of the smirky, adventure face. He has a red mask face. I don't know if I've ever seen him wear that before. And then he has the screaming face. And it's kind of weird when you take it off, take his faceplate off, and it comes off fairly easily. That concerns me a little bit, how easily, but it's on there fairly. I mean, it won't come off, but it does come off easily, which can be positive and negative. So might eventually get too loose that it won't stay on, but if it's on there too tight, the seams won't line up fairly well. So yeah, so here's a screaming face because he's got this weird tongue because when he's got his mouth open, you can see his tongue as he screams going into battle, his Renagan battle cry. So, but I'm going to display him with with this particular, the stern, determined, heroic face, because it fits on there the best. You don't see the seam lines that much. So, um, what can I say? Oh, and like I said before, I'm a huge Adam Strange fan. This is one of my first Omnis that I ever purchased was the Silver Age Adam Strange. It's got all of his, all of the stories from like Mystery in Space, Strange Adventures, that sort of thing. There's been several other stories. I would like to see another Omni. It doesn't say Volume 1, so I don't think there will be, but there was a lot of backup stories in different, I think Firestorm in the 80s, and then all of the other storylines. Anytime he's ever been featured in a story, I've always liked to read it. So he's, Justice League, that sort of thing. So I would love to see a collection of all those things and in all the minis that he's done. There's been a few, but I'd love to see another Omni with all of that collected too, because he's just an interesting character. He's archaeologist that gets accidentally swept to another planet via a teleportation beam, and then he becomes that planet's champion. And every time he shows up, there's a new threat to solve or defeat, and he falls in love with this alien princess named Alana, and they have a child, and there's just all kinds of stuff. So and he's always just looked really cool. The fin on the helmet, the rocket pack, there's just something about it. It's just awesome 1950s sci-fi aesthetic. It's just great. So I've always liked the reds and the yellows and everything, his story and all that. So yeah, he comes with two trigger hands and two fists. So I've got the right trigger finger and the left fist, and so he's got the left and right fist, left trigger finger. The blaster is fairly accurate to how it's depicted in the comic, and it's not warped or anything, just not a lot of detail. I think they could have probably put, it's just minimal detail and no porthole or anything that for blast effects or anything like that. And so there's that. And he's got a nice holster, and it fits in fairly well. Well, it fits in, but there's not a lot of retention. So just kind of be aware of that. Well, yeah, it just flops around in there, doesn't it? So I guess this might have been the first time I put it in the holster because I've just been displaying him with it in his hand. So that's a little disappointing. So sometimes when I'm doing my videos, I'm discovering stuff for the first time on camera. So I don't always have it. Sometimes I record it right as I'm opening it. So anyway, let's see. And the jetpack, this does not peg off or anything like that. I suppose if you broke it down enough, you could probably get it off. It's not glued on, but it's on there tight, and that's great. It's not loose or flopping around. It's on there really snug, so that's great. I'm glad for that. It just doesn't have a port for blast effects. It didn't come with blast effects, and that's just a strategic misfire in my opinion, because it's a jetpack. You need to be able to have something showing he can fly, that he's under propulsion. So I wish that had come, but I like the rivets and everything. It's pretty basic, to be honest, but I guess what more do you need? I suppose. I guess I would have liked a little more detail. I don't know, maybe plating, or maybe make it silver, like gunmetal gray or something, instead of just flat white. But you know, that's it. So paint on the helmet's pretty good. There's a little overspray on the red right there. Maybe it's just red showing through. The gold fin, this little logo here, pretty solid. Although there's the gold stars, there's some gold paint that's definitely kind of overspray there. I'm going to have to clean that up. And then in terms of paint, also the leg right here. So this is a little choppy, and that's unfortunate. I was not really, this color scheme, I would have been totally fine with it just being this flat red and not this deeper red on the sides, but that's how it's depicted in that Tom King Strange Adventures miniseries. A little extra, extra color there. I am not a fan of that miniseries, and I'm not a fan of Tom King, but that's the look they were going for with this guy. And I don't know if I'm going to, I might just try to get all of that off, or I don't know how to fix that. So it's faded and janky, and then you got the holster is not it's not glued down or anything. It's floating free, but it's got a painted strap, and that just seems a little silly to me. I mean, yes, that's how it's depicted in the picture there, but it's not even. There's an overlap that's not even. It's like they went one strip on the right, and then, or the outside, and one strip on the inside, and called it good. And they probably needed another pass to straighten it up, and they didn't give you that. So the legs, that's a disappointment. Everything else looks pretty solid, and then the interior, it's not great, but it's not terrible. But you won't see it that often because it's on the inside of the arm. So yeah, but the faces all turned out really well. The eyes look great. The eyebrows are good. The sculpting on the expressions is pretty solid, and for the most part, I can't really knock it for that. So that's great. The articulation is, sometimes it's hit and miss with McFarlane. Well, I guess it's hit and miss with just about every toy company, but he looks down that far, looks up that far. So that's good. I suppose if your face plates are a little loose, a little handy tack would come in handy. No pun intended, to keep it secure there. But it's good that he looks up somewhat so you can get him into some flight poses. And I suppose if you are a customizer, you could probably mill out the bottom of the thruster, bottom of the jetpack, and use some repulsor blasts from Iron Man, perhaps, or some other figure. So let's see. So our neck articulation is pretty basic. It's his head goes all the way around, and his collar is also one piece. So I'm going to take the head off and then clean this up with probably some nail polish remover, and maybe have to touch up the gold a little bit. But so that's loose. Really good range of motion. It's got like a Y pose here, just about. The only thing that bugs me, other than the paint, is this right shoulder and this cuff here. I don't know if this is, I guess it's supposed to be this way, but I hate the fact that it comes loose and open like that. It's the shoulders. I know this is on the Blue Beetle body, but I don't have that figure. I'm kicking myself for not picking him up. But the shoulders don't come out. I think if let me get my pointer stick. If the shoulders came out a little further, if the chest came around like that, like most other figures, this wouldn't be a problem. But it's so narrow right here on the upper shoulder. It's almost like, man, I mean, the straps for the jetpack barely come if any further, they'd be falling off. So this is the problem that I have. I don't mind the floating shoulder thing, but the cap needs to be big enough to cover any gaps, and it doesn't, and that really bothers me. I like it to be uniform. So, and most figures do that. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section. Does that bug you as much as it does me? And then there's also this huge gap right here, and that's unfortunate. It's not so bad on the left, so I don't know why. And I wish there was a way, and maybe there's a way to get custom-made caps for these figures to help fix that so they're a little bit bigger and just cover those gaps, because I just don't like the way it just kind of flops around like that. So that's a disappointment. The very tight bicep swivel. And pinned. Pretty good range of motion there on the elbows. So we got pinned, usual pinned stuff, pinned elbows and knees for McFarlane. And I initially thought the elbows are a little, or not the elbows, the wrist. The paint's a little splotchy on the glove, and doesn't quite match the yellow. Probably can't tell it on camera, but the yellow of the plastic for the wrist hinge does not match. It's a little lighter than everything else. But you get good range of motion for the most part. It just looks a little thin right there. So, and that's the problem with McFarlane. Another issue is the scaling issue. So, but for the most part, the hands are probably a little bit too big, at least in relation to the wrist. So there's that. Leans forward, not too far. It leans back about that far. So, but gets good side to side, and you can twist him at the waist. So, and the belt, this belt is kind of free floating a little bit. Maybe it's glued in some places. The black is, again, not spectacular, but it's not as bad as this leg right here. And then really good splits. And he does get a little thigh rotation. Not all McFarlane's. I'm always going to want a thigh cut, but this one's got pretty good thigh rotation for a McFarlane figure, so I'm glad for that. And he kicks up The diaper piece does not hinder too much. He kicks up about 90 degrees like most action figures do. And pretty good range of motion in the knee, kicks back that far, and then rotation in the ankle. And the yellows match fairly well. The yellows are the plastic. Of course, it's paint and plastic. So obviously, we're going to see a bit more uniformity here. And good rotation and good toe. So, of course, you can see the metal pin. So I may throw a spot of yellow paint. If you have a little yellow paint marker, that'll probably do it. And we've got a little plastic flashing here and there that I need to clean up. So on a whole, I like the look of it. It's just in terms of paint, that's probably my biggest complaint is the paint, and it could definitely be better. But Adam Strange is just one of those characters that I've always really liked, and I'm glad to have him. And I'm going to have to try and update or modify, correct some of the paint apps and everything. But other than the shoulder and the paint, this is a pretty solid figure overall. Like I said, it was on Best Buy, it was on sale and Memorial Day sale, and I picked it up, and it was great. You know, it was a good deal. So if you've been on the fence, now might be the time to grab it. And yeah, I'm definitely going to have to touch up some paint here. So that's unfortunate, but anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to give this guy a warp factor of 7. I'd like to rate him higher, but it could be a little better. And you know, if the paint was perfect, I'd probably rate it higher. I'd probably give it an 8. But as it stands now, with some of the articulation and everything, I'm going to give. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm going to be generous. I'll meet you halfway. We'll give him a 7.5. So warp factor of 7.5 for Mr. Adam Strange here. And let me know what you think in the comments section. Did you have the same paint issues that I have? Even, you know what? I don't know if you can see it, but there is some paint issues with this one as well. So just looking at this guy in the box. So I don't know. Maybe I'll take that guy out and tweak him as well. But anyway, I'll let you guys get back to your lives. Thanks for listening and watching. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. I'm almost to 200 subscribers, and I'm hoping to keep growing and doing more of this stuff. So you guys help me do that, and I really appreciate it. So take care, enjoy your Memorial Day, and I'll talk at you next time.